How to create a great product or service in 3 simple steps that will always sell. Hi, I'm Dr. Lee, Michael Lee, and thank you for checking in today for whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or even Twitter. And I think you're probably checking in today because you're either a coach and you're either beginning or you're thinking about what's the next step? What's the next thing that I need to do to serve my target audience? Because the thing is that, let me just explain that, a lot of people that they get stuck in this kind of rut that are thinking, what's the next thing I can actually sell to my customers or to people? Or what's the next thing that I can actually do to make sure it's successful? Because when they don't think through the process, because I'm going to give you a 3-step process. When they don't have a process, they get in chaos. When they're in chaos, they kind of think, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. And then they start looking at other people's things. And when they start looking at other people's things, what happens is that it creates even more chaos and confusion and a lack of clarity. And if you're in that kind of position right now, all I want you to do is, the first thing is this: stay away from the distractions. They're just distractions. They're stopping you from actually focusing on what you should be doing. Okay, so make sure you stay away from those distractions. So I want you to always remember that your target audience, by the way, whoever it may be, should be specific to you. If you start looking at other people going, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, I want to do that too, they have their own target audience. They won't. Their audience is probably going to be very different to yours. So if you can just help me, I know quite a few of you are checking in today. Just put in the chat what your industry is, then I can probably use it as an example. And just let me know if you're here also watching live or you're watching as a replay, just so I know who I'm going to be answering questions from later on today as well. But if you do have a certain industry, I'm happy to help you with that. Just so that you have the clarity if you want to create a certain product or service that will always sell no matter what. Okay, so let me know. But while you're writing, I will move on to give a few examples, because whatever industry you are in, the first step you need to figure out is this. It's called the journey. Okay, because it's very easy as coaches. We want to just give everything. We want to teach so much, and guess what? When you teach too much in one go, you create overwhelm for your customer. And I don't want to create overwhelm for your customer. I want you to give it them in bite-sized chunks so that they can learn, apply, and then gain experience and then redo. Because that's how they're going to be learning. So you need to be thinking about, okay, what is, when you're looking at I call it your entire funnel, your big funnel, which comes nice and wide and comes nice and narrow. Right, at the narrowest point, so we call it at the end of the journey, what is the ultimate goal that you want? The ultimate goal, and it could be you want them to be healthy, you want to be financially free, you want to have incredible relationships, because those are the most common outcomes: wealth, health, and relationships. Whatever you choose, you can find the ultimate outcome for them. And then write down, what does it look like for them? Because I'm hoping whatever it looks like for them is actually what it looks like for you right now. Because there's no point coaching unless you've achieved it. Because those I call them the fake gurus, the fake coaches. So make sure you have that background, and also the full journey. Because when you know that full journey, then what you do is break it down into smaller sections. Right, so okay, this is the ultimate outcome. To get to that ultimate outcome, it isn't going to happen overnight. There's going to be a process. And that's why when creating your service or product, you then break down the processes. Right? This is all the processes they need to do in terms of what I went through as a coach, so that they can get the result I have. So they need to follow the same process that I went through as well. So this is how you're going to create the services and products in 3 simple steps. Is this: you're going to see that big plan. You're going to break it down to smaller chunks. These smaller chunks, what you're going to be looking at is, okay, say for example, before someone can run, they probably need to jog. Before they can jog, they probably need to walk. Before they can walk, they probably need to crawl. all right? And that is the process of how we move. So that's just a simple process. But the thing is that with each one of those steps, there came problems. Say, for example, when someone came from crawling to walking, what was the first problem? Standing. So what's the problem with standing? It's going to be balancing. Okay? So once they get into walking, going to walking, the last step from that is coordination. Right? To get from walking to jogging, they need even greater coordination, but also what they need after that, they might need some strength, some power, some flexibility. Then to get from jogging to running, then they need fitness. Right? They'll need fitness. So it's understanding what are all these problems that they will be met with between these solutions or these outcomes. And this is how you're going to create your next service or product with these three things. The first thing you need to do is this. Yes, write down all of those outcomes, all of those steps through the process. Then you write down in between both of them, put all of the challenges that they will be met. I've just used running for an example because I know a lot about running. But if you're a coach, for example, let's do another one. Is anyone else here? Let's say, let's see, if you was, let's say relationships. Let's do relationships because I like. Let's talk about relationships. I've been talking about relationships this week, so let's talk about relationships. Let's say, for example, if someone wanted to find their lifelong partner, all right? To find their lifelong partner, they want to get married to them. They want to spend the rest of their life together. They're not going to ask someone to marry them on the first date. So we know there's a process in between first date and marriage, and it's about going through the processes to find out, okay, how are they going to make this work? So before someone gets married, right, they would have to have understood what are the checkpoints in terms of what they know about their partner. Let's say, for example, their likes and dislikes, the things that makes them feel loved, for example, the hobbies and the things that excite them, right? So then once I've got all these like data, then you think, actually, how aligned are we together, right? And then it has to be a form of communication. It has to be a form of how do they have fun together? How do they support one another? And all these fall in line to create that outcome. Because without those things, marriage will be out of the question. They'll just be falling into marriage without going through the vital steps of knowing this is the person for me. But then it all started at the first date. So let's go from first date to second date. Let's take that one first. First date to second date, you want to find out. First date is basically find out, do I even like this person? Say, for example, how many of you have been on a first date before? I've been on a few first dates, and the thing is that there'll be a lot of them that I thought, oh, I repel that. I just can't stand that, so that's why they never got to the second date. They may be one of those that you're at a dinner table and you're like, oh, I'm just going to talk about me. And when you talk about themselves, they weren't interested in you, and that's why you completely lost interest. And they didn't want to connect with you. But then actually you might find the ones that just ask questions, say, hey, it's really nice to see you today. And, I know it's the first date, and I'd really love to get to know you just to see actually if this was going to work. And I hope we're at the same place here because it's our first date. And they're kind of calling out. And if you heard that, you probably feel a bit more confident, right? Actually, they know what they're talking about. And I'll probably want to speak with them a bit more and get to know them a bit more. And then that brings on to the second date. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. There is a process here. If you do not have that journey or that process, and you're just going to make it up as you go along, you're going to be met with a lot of chaos, because you're going to be thinking, it's either I've never been through this before myself, or the second thing is, what do I do next? I haven't seen all the problems. This is why it comes down to planning. But one thing I don't want you to do is, don't plan till the cows come home. If you're planning for too long, people will never take action. So please do plan. Then once you see the big plan, create the first product. Number 1, step 1. Create the second product, step 2. Create the third product, step 3. And number 4, how many of you have? Most people end at 5. But the thing is, how many of you have? Then you know, this is what it looks like. I'm going to focus on mastering number 1, deliver number 1, and while I'm delivering number 1, I'm going to master number 2. I'm going to be planning and creating number 2. Then they move into 2, deliver number 2, and be creating number 3. Then you can do it that way. Because yes, at least you have the plan. You know what to teach and what to coach on as well. So that's the next thing I want you to do. That's the third thing. Is actually you need to do. Do not get stuck in just thinking, I need to just keep planning, because when you've got this entire journey, it has to sell. Because when people are looking at things like this, they're going to be looking at, I understand that. I understand this is the first step, this is the second step, this is the third, this is the fourth. I get it. I cannot expect to get to marriage in one date. I cannot expect to run without walking. Because when they're expecting those things, the thing is, they're not being real. They're not being authentic with themselves. They're not saying, they may be thinking, oh yeah, I'm so much better than everyone else. I can get there faster. I'm like, yes, you can truly give it a go. Let me know how you get on, because there'll be a lot of lessons. And all the lessons, guess what they'll be? Everything in between that they missed. And then they'll come back to you and say, you're right. You're absolutely right. I had to learn the hard way. And guess what learning the hard way is? Yes, they learn, but there's a lot of suffering involved. That's why people get coaches. The coaches not only get them from A to B quickly, minus all of the suffering. And that itself is worth its own weight in gold. No suffering. People don't like suffering. So that's why it's important to make sure that you can do that. So that is my 3 steps to making sure that something will always sell. It's connecting, it's knowing, it's pre-planning what the journey is going to look like for all of your ideal customers. And I cannot stress enough, it must be your ideal customer. Write down in the chat, whose ideal customer should it be? And you should know exactly what it looks like. Your ideal customer will look a little bit different to mine, different to the next person, a little bit different to the next person. And if you haven't done the exercise, do the exercise of, if there's someone that you really, really like, they'll make the perfect customer. Their name's John. They have they're 36. They're male. They have this job. They earn this amount. They're married. Then you'll know exactly how specific it is. They enjoy this, this, and this. These are their hobbies, and you know what it is. As soon as you're that clear with it, then go and find those types of people. Know your ideal customer, and once you know, it will be so easy to sell. Because they'll just get you, and you'll get them, and they'll just know actually because I understand exactly where. They might say to me, Dr. Lee's coming from. Yeah, I know that I'm going to get to where I need to get to very quickly, because he sees the journey, he sees the experience. So that's what I want every one of you watching to do. Create your journey, create the steps, all the outcomes you want through the process, all the challenges in between, and of course the challenges in your teaching and your coaching, your product or service. The challenges, because you know what they are, you just basically give them exercises to then create the solution. And once you create the exercises, don't give them the solution, because you just give them the solution, they never learn. Give them an exercise, right? Say for example, I'm going to take standing to walking. One of the exercises would be from standing, hold on to people's hands and walk. That's the first exercise. Next exercise, hold on to one person's hand and walk. Third exercise, hold on to no one's hands and walk, because they've gone through a process of gaining confidence, right? So make sure they gain the confidence by you supporting, then removing a little bit of support so they become more confident that they've done it themselves. And of course, to improve their coordination, ask them, walk, eyes closed, go. And then you can see they become more confident. Oh, I can do it. Oh, I was only walking like a few minutes ago. Now I've gone from walking with 2 people to 1 person to no one to my eyes closed. Then they celebrate. Give them the exercise. Do not just give them the solution, because they won't learn and they won't value either. Because then you can debrief the exercise. What did you learn? Oh, I had to take action. I had to build confidence. Oh, after my confidence, I knew I could do the next thing. Once I did it 1 time, I could do it 2 times and 3 times and 4 times. And as soon as I did it like 5 times, I was ready to take the next challenge. And then you can see how excited they get. Because you will know when you've been coached how excited you get when you learn something new about yourself. So that's what I want you to do. Make sure you are clear and make sure you give the exercises. So I really hope that you got a lot of value from today, and just let me know in the chat the things that you've learned. Thank you so much, Lynn, for being here, and also who's that Mosdi. Thank you so much for being here as well. So yes, let me know what you've learned today, And of course, I'll be looking forward to, again, giving you another live in terms of the next step, in terms of what else you can do to master customer relations as well. So thank you so much for checking in. Dr. Michael Lee, have a wonderful Friday, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye for now.